I think it's pretty safe to say that we are now starting to see the effects of what it means to hire a whole bunch of conspiracy theorists to serve in some of the highest levels of government. As most of you know, Donald Trump surrounded himself with a whole bunch of people who not only were going to be loyal to Donald Trump, but they believed in many of the same lies that people in the MAGA movement actually believed in. And now you've got those types of people appointed to, say, positions in the FBI who are supposed to go in there and infiltrate the deep state, turn up arrests, prosecutions, convictions. And all of that becomes really, really challenging to do because you do not have the factual predicate to actually make those types of arrests happen. And so when you've got Dan Bongino and Kash Patel going out there and giving interviews, some of those conspiracies, they start to unravel a little bit. And that's exactly what we saw when they sat down with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend. And I want to go ahead and take a look at some of the clips from that interview. And let's go ahead and start out with this one because it's really kind of funny because you've got Dan Bongino saying, "Hey guys, we've only been here a couple months. You're just going to have to give us a break. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe."
Yeah, I just got to push back. Listen, we've been here 2 months. He's been here a couple more weeks than that. I mean, we've been here 2 months. You're dealing with a 38,000 member organization and an approximately $12 billion budget.
Fair point.
Where to expect us in 2 months to dig up what was a 8-year, maybe longer, multi-year politicized investigation with multiple layers of processes, from Woods procedures being just thrown in the garbage can and flushed down the toilet bowl, to multiple layers of accountability where people lied and obfuscated. I'm not asking you to trust me. You want this done right or you want it done quickly? Because you can't have it both ways. You want it done quickly, we'll do it. And you know what'll happen? Just what happened last time. Those same Spygate collusion perpetrators sued the government, got money, got all this shit. You want that? We'll do it. We'll do it quickly and do it wrong.
But are you saying you found things that even you didn't know about? I mean, you were at the core of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just imagine what's going on here. You've got somebody like Dan Bongino. He's a MAGA diehard. He's been using his podcast to spin up all of these conspiracies in the name of Donald Trump for years and years and years. And now that he is in a position of power, you've got people in the MAGA movement who are wondering, where the hell are the arrests? Why isn't Hillary Clinton in jail? Why isn't James Comey in jail? What is going on? And you've got Dan Bongino saying, "Hey guys, you just got to give me a break. We've only been here a couple months." But what's really happening is that Dan Bongino is realizing all of these conspiracies that he's been drumming up over the past 5 or 10 years, well, many of them aren't true. There is no factual basis to actually make the arrests that people in the MAGA movement actually want to see. And so you kind of put yourself in a really bad predicament where you were the one egging this stuff on, and now that you are in a position of power to actually do something about it, you can't actually do it. So then they move on to discuss the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, and here's what they had to say about those details.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent, and my personal friendship, as the director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it, I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
So now you've got Dan Bongino just coming out and saying full stop. That the assassination attempt against Donald Trump, it is what it is. There's no big giant conspiracy. The FBI wasn't involved. The Secret Service wasn't involved. The CIA wasn't involved. All of these conspiracies that we've been talking about ever since it happened, well, there's no evidence that any of that actually happened. So now you've got Dan Bongino kind of backpedaling, saying, you know, I would be truthful to you. You know I love Donald Trump. You know Kash Patel is my best friend. You know we would give this information to you if we could. but it's actually not there. I find this completely hilarious that somebody like Dan Bongino is having to come out with his tail between his legs and say, oops, we got nothing. So then they're asked about the Capitol attack on January 6th. Here's what they had to say about that.
What was the FBI doing? Well, we got answers coming. We just found a trove of information, and it's on its way to Capitol Hill right now. And they've asked, and they're getting them, and you're getting answers on January 6th. You're getting answers on what sourcing was utilized, what money was utilized, how many assets were utilized, who made those decisions. You're getting it. We can only control the FBI, but you're getting it from the FBI.
So this was a common refrain in this interview. Instead of coming out and saying, oh, well, we've investigated this and we've investigated that and here's the details or here's where you can go to look for that. No, it's like, oh, no, we found all of this secret information and it's coming. We actually sent it over to Congress. It's coming. We got all this stuff. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. They ain't got shit. This has been investigated to the hilt. We know what happened on January 6th. We know that Donald Trump riled up his MAGA supporters and sent them down to the Capitol, and they tried to stop the free and fair election in 2020. They tried to stop it with violence. There wasn't this deep state conspiracy. There was not a whole bunch of federal agents there that were provoking these MAGA lunatics. It was MAGA and MAGA only, and you might be able to point out a few people who have informant status, which Dan Bongino goes to address here.
But I just want to be sure we're clear, having been an agent and a police officer. There is a difference between an agent, I know you know this, I don't mean to sound ridiculous, an agent, meaning a trained GS 1811 federal agent, and a source or an asset. There's a difference. So when you see the material, which I promise you is coming, again, I'm not asking you to trust us. I know it's coming because I saw it yesterday. When you see it, I just want you to understand that it's not an apology for anything.
Thank you.
But there's a difference between agents and assets. Yeah. And I just hope when people put that information out there, they make the distinction. Not that it's better or worse, but there's a distinction there.
It's a very important distinction.
And I want to level set here. I want the American public to go back and look at what our predecessors stated to Congress under oath, that there were no FBI sources utilized in and around January 6th.
So do you see what he's doing here? We found this. We found all of this new information. It was a secret trove of documents. We sent it over to Congress. But I want everybody to remember that there is a big difference between an FBI informant and an FBI agent. Yeah, bro. No shit. This is what we've been telling everybody for the last year or two now, after that the Inspectors General report came out saying that, oh no, FBI agents weren't actually involved. There was a few informants that were there, but they did not have direct orders from the FBI to go there. They didn't have direct orders from the FBI to engage in any violence. They didn't even have direct orders from the FBI to go into the Capitol. We already know all this, but they're trying to pull one over your eyes, trying to say, well, we found all this secret information. We're going to get it to you. We sent it over to Congress, but we just need you guys to remember to keep your expectations relatively low. We know that there's a difference between an FBI agent and an informant. These are really different things, and I know you guys aren't stupid, but please remember that. These people are unserious people. They have been spinning up these conspiracies for years and years, and now that they are in a position of power to do something about it, instead of coming out and just being open with the American people, being open with the MAGA movement, and actually coming clean as to what actually went on, they still kind of have to feed the fire. They got to stoke the flames, right? They got to give some red meat for the base to chew on, because they know that if they were to come out and be truthful around what happened on January 6th, MAGA would probably rip them to shreds. Let's go ahead and move on to this one last clip where they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
And there it is again. The actual truth comes out. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. I know that people in the MAGA movement have been drumming up all of these conspiracies about how the prison system was involved, but do these people forget that it was Donald Trump who was actually president when Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in prison? It's like they forget all these things. They just try to rewrite history. They try to, kind of just roll over the facts, try to crush them down a little bit, try to make you to believe something that is not true. And now that they're in positions of power, now that they've seen the files, they actually have to come out and admit that, oh, on this one, guys, he actually killed himself. I just find this so completely fascinating, especially because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, they are MAGA diehards, man. Kash Patel wrote a book with an enemies list in it, with all of Donald Trump's perceived enemies in it. Dan Bongino, he's been one of the top MAGA podcasters for years now. He has been drumming up hate against the FBI, hate against the government for years. And now Donald Trump has plucked them out because they are loyal, because they believe in all of these same conspiracies that the MAGA movement believes in. And now that they can actually do something about it, they're either trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, or in very rare cases, as we just saw, they actually have to come out and admit that, hey, it is what it is. Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein actually committed suicide. Then they tried to cover up for the other ones, right? Oh, we found this trove of documents. We sent it over to Congress about January 6th, and you're really going to want to see this, and we're going to get it to you in due time. But just remember, FBI agents are different than FBI informants. So anyways, guys, I found this completely fascinating. I think the MAGA movement is in dire straits right now. I think that many of the leaders of the movement who are now in positions of power are letting the MAGA base down. People, especially some of the crazy ones in the MAGA movement who have been waiting for the arrests, who have been waiting for Hillary Clinton to be put in prison, they're not getting their payoff, and now they're probably feeling lied to by people like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. And it's just all a huge shit show. And I thought this is something that you guys would be interested in. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels this kind of conspiratorial nonsense for the MAGA movement day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how an ICE raid in Massachusetts just went completely out of control with a teen girl slammed to the ground, go in and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.